Making £100 per day with Amazon FBA is not some mythical achievement that only the chosen few can reach. The difference between sellers that are making £10 a day and those making £100 a day is not luck, special products, or some secret insider knowledge. It's just having a proven framework that actually works. So I've personally hit 50k profit months with Amazon FBA, and my students regularly achieve 4 and 5 figures in monthly revenue using the exact system that I'm about to share with you. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the easiest way to hit £100+ daily with Amazon FBA with no complicated strategies, no overwhelming product analysis, just a straightforward approach that has generated millions for my students. So let's get into it. So first up, let's do the maths. How much do you need to be kind of working with? How much do you need to be spending to be making £100 a day? So to make £100 per day in profit, you're going to be wanting to do at least like 15 to 20 sales, each generating, between £5 and £7 in profit per unit. This could be 15 to 20 completely different products that each sell 1 unit per day, or it could just be one singular product that just sells in big volumes. Now, assuming a rough ROI of around 20%, that means you've got to be spending at least £500 to £600 on stock every single day. Now, you could also focus on even higher ROI products than that. 20% is definitely on the very low end, and that would mean that you just have to spend less money to get that same amount of profit. That's something that I really focus on, just high ROI products, so that I spend as little money as possible and generate as much revenue and profit as possible. And you could even focus on kind of higher price items like I usually do, where one single unit might sell for £600 and I'm making 20% ROI on that. So that same kind of 15 to 20 sales a day can be accomplished with one single unit. And that definitely has its pros and cons. I mean, it's a little less kind of safe to be doing it like that, because that one sale, say a refund happens or customer fraud or something like that, could take a big dent out your bank account versus those kind of much smaller sales where your risk is very much spread. But it all just depends on you and your own personal risk tolerance. So now that we know the maths for kind of how much you need to be spending to make this sort of money, let's talk about actually finding products. So I have a ton of videos on my channel talking about A2A sourcing, storefront sourcing, profit path, like so many different methods. So if you're completely new to Amazon, definitely go and check those out. But let me just run you through a rough overview of things. So you want to be finding fast selling, high ROI products, stuff that sells at least 50 times per month and is making at least 20% ROI, if not much more than that. You want to be finding listings that have consistent pricing over at least the past 90 days, if not a longer period than that. That's very important to ensure that you're actually going to get the sell price you hope for, and it's not just a case of just in the past week it shot back up. You also want to find listings with very little competition so that you can get the highest share of the buy box. Any listings where you see Amazon dominating the buy box, and you can check this with Keeper, if they're taking the buy box 90+% of the time, it might not be worth a purchase. You also want to watch out for other sellers. If the listing sells 50 times a month, that's great. But if there is 100 other Amazon FBA sellers on that listing, it's too saturated. You've got to move on and find something better. And if you do have limited capital, as a lot of people do when they first start with Amazon FBA, you want to really focus on ROI and push that as high as possible. Say you've got £1,000, right? You spend that all and you make 20% ROI, and it takes about a month from actually buying the product to receiving that money back into your bank account if you've got a fast selling listing. If you're working on that ideal 1 month time frame, that £1,000 is only going to make you 200 quid in a month, which is not bad. That definitely helps, better than nothing. But if you can instead find something that's 60% ROI, you're now making £600 off that same investment. And that's why I focus so much on ROI in my own business. It's so crucial for making just as much profit as you possibly can. Something that I would definitely recommend if you're looking to kind of save time on things and get to that kind of £100 a day profit mark is just using software to your advantage. You don't want to spend hours and hours manually sourcing and basically finding fuck all. You want to be using tools like Profit Path and Chaos to find opportunities automatically. And these could be opportunities that you'd never really be able to spot just manually trawling websites, because there's too much information out there. There's too many products, too many deals. This helps kind of get rid of all the clutter and just focus on what's actually going to make you profit. So Profit Path shows you profitable products across loads of different websites. It also allows you to track other people's storefronts. It allows you to track A2A deals and all sorts of other things like that. I've actually just recently done a tutorial video on using Profit Path, walking you through all the features that there is. So definitely go and watch that. I'm sure there'll be a link on screen now or down below in the video description for you to check that out. A subscription to that bit of software runs you about 80 quid a month, but you know, it's just a cost of saving time. You got to think about how much is your time worth. You know, if you can spend days and days and days sourcing only to find 1 or 2 products and they're not really making you much money, spending that 80 quid to then kind of up your sourcing game to a whole new level and automate the process of finding this stuff is definitely worth it, at least in my opinion. Chaos is another piece of software that I use really heavily, and that will automatically purchase you deals. So it doesn't matter whether it's 3 AM or you're at work or you're asleep or whatever is happening in your life, you don't need to be kind of tied to a desk, waiting for the right product to ping, staring at your phone all the time, worrying that something good's going to happen and you're going to miss it. That software will automatically buy you those profitable deals. I've been using this software since like 2022. It's evolved a lot over the years, but I'm still making at least 2 grand a month with it, almost completely automatically, which is absolutely awesome. And it's something that I definitely recommend checking out. And yes, software does cost money up front. You are going to be adding to your expenses of the business, but spending, you know, 150 quid, 200 quid a month on software to then go and make 3 to 5 grand in profit is an absolute no-brainer. That is just a smart business decision. You've always got to spend money to make money. That is just how all businesses on the earth work. And I would say out of all the expenses that you can have, software like this is probably the best ones you can be having. There are a lot more things that are a lot more expensive and will not bring you anywhere near as much in terms of ROI other than those bits of software. I'd also say that another essential step for kind of reaching that £100 a day profit mark is probably outsourcing prep. No one wants to spend hours and hours every day packing boxes, labeling units, doing all this hard physical labor. Why not just outsource it to another warehouse who will deal with everything for you? They'll receive the parcels 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. They'll pack it all up. They'll send it off to Amazon. They'll do all of the physical side for you. Helps keep your house free of clutter. You know, no more piles of cardboard boxes. Helps keep your mind free because it means you can instead spend time actually just sourcing products, which is much higher ROI in terms of the amount of time you spend on it. And it's also just not expensive and it scales with your business. Basically, all prep centers charge about 50p per unit. If you're making, you know, £5 profit per unit or £10 profit per unit, this is a pretty small expense. And if you send no units in a month, you don't pay them any money. If you send 1,000 units in a month, obviously you pay them 500 quid. But off that 1,000 units, I would expect you to be making at least 5 grand, if not a lot more than that. I typically recommend outsourcing prep once you're doing at least like 500 units a month, or at least maybe like 5k revenue in a month. But honestly, you can kind of outsource it from the beginning. It's probably the only thing that from day one, you can just outsource to someone else. And it is the easiest way to get to this point whilst also being a lot more hands-off and having a lot more free time. So now you know how to get to £100 profit a day. What do you do when you want to scale past that? Once you're consistently hitting these £100 profit days, scaling no longer just requires kind of super hard work. It's all about putting systems into place and having other people working harder for you. The biggest mistake that sellers make is just thinking that you need to work harder to make more money. No, it's about working smarter. This means reinvesting as much of your profits as you possibly can afford to back into your business. Make that money work for you and compound in your business. Don't just go spending it on flashy things because you made your first £1,000 or whatever. Reinvest it into more stock which you can sell to make more profit and repeat. Another thing to keep in mind is you don't always need to be on the hunt for just new products and be buying brand new inventory all the time. You can just replenish the same products you've already found. As long as the deal still looks good, you've got minimal competition and that price is still available for you to buy at, just go through your old deals and just replenish some stuff. It's something I'm guilty of kind of, you know, not prioritizing. I'm always looking for new deals instead of just having a look through my deal sheet and seeing what I can just buy more of. And it's such an easy way to just constantly make more money with very little work because you've already found it. You've done the hard part. Now you just got to buy more units. I'd also definitely recommend looking into outsourcing. So, outsourcing stuff like the actual sourcing side of things, outsourcing admin as well. I've actually done a whole YouTube video on just outsourcing and how to scale to the crazy numbers that you see sellers like myself doing. There'll be a link on screen or down below for that video, so definitely check that out as well if you haven't already. But essentially, the way to kind of keep scaling your business is keep doing what you're doing, keep reinvesting your profits, outsource wherever possible, and naturally your business is just going to keep snowballing and making you more money. So that is the complete framework for hitting £100 plus daily in profit with online arbitrage. It's not about finding magical deals or having access to secret suppliers. It's about implementing proven sourcing and scaling systems consistently. Now, you could try figuring this out all by yourself through trial and error, just like I did, but that approach costs you thousands of pounds in slow moving inventory that takes months or even years to get right. Now, if you'd rather skip the learning curve and get guidance from someone who has actually built a successful arbitrage business, then I've got something for you. So I run an Amazon FBA mentorship program. And on this program, I work directly with sellers to implement these exact strategies in their business. Click the first link down below in the video description and you can book in a free strategy call with me where we can analyze your current situation and I can show you exactly how to implement this framework in your business. Whether we work together or not, you're going to walk away with a clear action plan for hitting your first £100 plus profit day with online arbitrage. So finally, make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you found it helpful, and make sure to click up here to watch my video on how I would build a 6-figure Amazon FBA business if I had to start again from scratch.